want to bring in Tennessee Congressman and House Foreign Affairs and Armed Services Committee member Mark Green. Congressman, good morning.
Thanks, Cheryl, for having me on the show. Good morning to you.
Your reaction to this move on immigration from President Biden?
Well, I think it's pretty crazy. You know, it's going to create this massive incentive for just, a flood of people coming across the southern border. Right now, they're not even testing people, just releasing them for COVID. So it's pretty crazy. But I mean, even what they did with ICE, you didn't mention that, but they're talking about now restricting ICE agents. Pelosi's defunding, and I guess now Biden's going to defang the police, the law enforcement. They can't even deport people unless they get special permission for it, people who've committed multiple crimes. So it's pretty crazy what the administration's doing.
I want to bring in my colleague, James Freeman. He and Marie Bartiromo wrote a book about the topic of China. And, James, you do have President Biden at the G7 virtually today.
That's right. Thanks, Congressman. As you look at the emerging China policy from the Biden administration, some perhaps surprisingly tough rhetoric in terms of related to the Chinese government's treatment of the Uyghurs, Hong Kong, et cetera. Are you encouraged by that, or are you still concerned that there's not really any action behind it?
I think they've been a little bit inconsistent. So there has been some rhetoric about the human rights stuff, but then you hear him say that it's a custom, some kind of cultural norm to do what Xi Jinping is doing out west. It's just crazy. That inconsistency makes all of us scratch our heads. I think we need a very hard stance with how China is. I mean, if you read some of the stories coming out of those camps, those internment camps, it's horrific. It's almost mid 20th century stuff. We can't support that.
U.S. officials, by the way, announcing that they're going to meet with Iran and other world leaders to discuss this diplomatic approach to Tehran's nuclear program. I want to get your thoughts on that because, Iran has vowed to expel UN nuclear inspectors if sanctions are not lifted by Sunday. Your reaction to this?
Well, this is what we should expect from this president, because when he was vice president, remember that they actually announced they were withdrawing missile defense systems from Poland on the 60th anniversary of the USSR's invasion of Poland. So now, only days after Americans are killed by Iranian-backed militia in Erbil, they're talking about meeting with Iran. I mean, that's insane. I mean, it makes no sense. No one would do this. No student of international relations would say, yeah, hey, let's meet with the guys who just killed Americans.
Brian Bremberg.
Congressman, I want to emphasize that point. When I watch what happened this week and then I see these plans, it looks to me like Iran is in the driver's seat on this negotiation. Given all of the threats they've made, that's what it looks like. Am I wrong on that? Is Iran now in the driver's seat given the kind of policy the Biden administration is talking about pursuing?
It certainly appears so. I mean, if you look at the JCPOA, I mean, that whole thing really enforced nothing. Iran could inspect themselves, and they're talking about reinstating something like that. It's absurd. I mean, it's really absurd. And you think of the American, I served in the military. I was in a special operations unit. I deployed in Iraq, in Afghanistan. My brothers and sisters were killed in Iraq by Iranian-backed specialized IEDs. I mean, as many as 700. And here we are, wanting a handshake. I have a problem with that.
Congressman Mark Green, it's great to have you on all these topics this morning. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Carol. Have a good day.
All right, you as well.